I wanted to talk about my revolutionary moment of creation that goes all the way back to preschool. So, I went to a preschool in Hearst, and I remember we made these ashtrays out of clay. And the preschool teacher, we'd finished with the ashtrays, and it was like a week later, and they had dried. So it was time for us to show off the ashtrays to the parents. Well, our group made ashtrays. I remember it was like a light blue ashtray. It kind of looked like a well, or like a seashell, more like it, or something. This was more like a seashell. I'm just being kind of fancy. It looked like a seashell, and maybe like the flipper of a well or the tail of a well, and a seashell kind of thing. I don't remember, but anyway. So it came time. They walked me up to the table, and my mom, I believe my mom was standing near me. It was my mom, and the teacher said, "This is what Cole made." And I looked at it and I said, "No, I didn't make this," And everyone's probably had this moment. And the teacher said, "No, Cole, you made this." And I said, "No, I didn't make this." And I was floored that I didn't make it. I knew 100% that I did not make this ashtray. It was dried. It was ready to go. My dad was a big smoker. He smoked Camel cigarettes most of his life, and he quit 30 years later. Just want to throw that in there. But he eventually quit smoking. But I'm sure the ashtray was probably a present for him. I don't know. But anyway, regardless, I kept telling the teacher, "I didn't make this." My mom said, "Well, the teacher's saying that you made it, Cole, so you should say that you made it." To this day, I still don't believe I made it. I don't believe I made that ashtray. But there it was, sitting there under a little tag. I guess that had my name on it. "This is what Cole made for preschool." It was an ashtray. like the preschool kids should have been making ashtrays. This was back like mid 70s, late 70s. So I'm standing there, and I'm thinking to myself, should I admit that I made this? I don't remember to this day, I don't remember. I remember a lot of things about that preschool. There's a lot of things I remember. A lot of gender things about, one time I got in trouble, and I had to work with the girls that were in the kitchen play area, and I hated it, and I stood at the door the entire time and refused to work with them. The entire time. I was misogynistic in preschool. They did nothing to me. They didn't even talk to me. I was like, I'm not working with these girls, not in the kitchen area. I'm waiting to work with the trucks or the cars or whatever. But anyway, in preschool, I could not accept the fact that I made this ashtray, that I made this piece of art at 4 years old or whatever. It was a weird thing. But I think that's a revolution of creation, is when you're in that state. I didn't make this. How could I have made this? That's what, as a child, as a 4-year-old kid, that's what I was thinking. I guess maybe that's why I posted that photo of me on SoundCloud as a young kid, the one that's on my SoundCloud, because I think when you come to terms that you didn't make that, you didn't create that was out of your hands. It was made by something else, and you're just standing back as an observer, even though you did actually create it. I think that's the moment of revelation for creation. When you take ownership and say, "I created this," it ruins the creation, I think. And this goes back a long ways. I know a lot of painters have signed their names on things, and then they have to take ownership for creation. But I think there's always a sense of being the observer and not just the creator. The creator belongs to someone else. The creator belongs to something else. You're ultimately wanting to be the observer. And then you can say, well, maybe I did create it. But I think that's where the artist lies sometimes, where his position is. He's always questioning if he created it. And in that moment, then you take kind of a superior sense of ownership that you can't take if you simply try to own it, especially if you steal someone's work or steal a shot or steal an idea, which we all do as artists. The things that we really create, I don't think we can really take ownership for. We stand back as the observer and look down at the ashtray and say, I didn't make this. I didn't make this. And when you really believe that, then the ownership belongs to someone else. Whether you made it or not doesn't matter. I don't know. That's my revelation of creation.